Hello everyone, welcome back to Ifechi family. I'm outside here, it's so beautiful. Look at the weather, the sunshine is just and there are children at the other end, playing, as you can hear their voices, but I'm sure you can hear me. Today I want us, from the title, you know what we're going to be discussing, and it's about submission. This word submission is causing a lot of problem in some marriages. Submission is very simple, as I've said before in my previous videos. Submission is very simple, but it takes two, both the husband and wife, to work at things. In the Bible, in Galatians 22, the Bible talked about wives submitting to their husbands, and that was the first thing that was said. And it didn't just stop there, he went on to say the reason. And also the same Galatians 5:25 talked about husbands loving your wife, and he did not stop there. He went on to say the reason why you have to do so. So when we look at these things, and when having been married for so many years, I can tell you that submission is actually very, very simple, very easy. Once you understand the biblical principles of marriage and what the Bible meant by that submission, you will just agree with me that it is actually very simple. 1 Peter 3 verses 1 and 2 says, "Wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives, when they see the purity and reverence of your lives." You see? So by you submitting, you are actually helping your husband. So if you actually want that marriage to work, then you can see that submission is very simple, and it helps you and it helps your husband. It helps both of you to work together. And when it comes about love, there's something I heard and I totally agree. It says, don't marry who you love, but love who you marry. So I got that. You don't marry who you love, but love who you marry. Let me explain what I understand by that statement. Because if you marry who you love, obviously people love people for various reasons. Maybe their looks, and in this day and age, it's about money. Maybe they have huge money, they have big house, they have this, they have that, and you marry them because of that. What if those things are no longer there? But if you love who you marry, it means that whatever the situation is, you stand by that person. That thing that you saw in that person will always remain. Even if the person loses their job, even if the person has an accident or becomes defamed in any way, you are going to still stand with that person. But if you love who you marry because of material things, which from what I hear from this generation is about, I'm not going to suffer. So love means material things. So if it goes the other way around, they just go. And no wonder there's so many divorces at the moment, both in the diaspora and in other countries. There's high rate of divorce because people marry who they love because of material things, or there are other reasons why marriages or divorces are happening. People don't want to be submissive. People don't care about loving their wife as God loved Christ loved the church, and so many other things. Lack of respect, the way you talk to each other. I have to say here that you don't try to change anybody. Actually, this submission and this no, you don't love me, you don't submit to me, and all that should not be happening if things are done properly. Don't try to change anybody. Change yourself. Look into your own way of talking, the way you talk, and decide to change. I was listening to one woman. She said as soon as she changes herself, the way she talks to her husband, the way she does certain things in the house, that her husband automatically changed, that she could not believe it, that she was actually the cause of the problem, and she was blaming the husband, going out to talk about the husband all the time. So it can be either way. Try and change yourself. Don't try to change the other person. When you change, the person will see that change in you. They'll be like, wow, this is not like my wife, this is not like my husband. And the other person will start making an effort as well. they'll start making an effort as well to make that marriage work. If you really want that marriage to work, you start making an effort. So in effect, what I'm trying to say is that we have to work very hard in our marriages, no matter the number of years you have been married. He who thinks he stands, take heed lest he falls, because it doesn't matter how many years you've been married, things happen. I've seen marriages break down after so many years of marriage, and you wonder why. There's a lot of reasons behind it, but the most important thing I want us to get today is that submission is very simple. Very, very simple. And go back to 1 Peter 3, 1 and 2 to say what the Bible says about submitting and how it's going to help your husband. Submission is not subjugation, as I've said before. It's not subjugation. It means two of you working together in love. Submit to your husband. He's the head. Why do we find it very easy to submit in other things outside the home? We submit so much. Those of you who bow to your pastors, call them daddy, call them this, you submit to them. But why is it so hard for you to submit to at home? At work, you submit to your manager, to your employers, even in the shops. You submit because they say, oh, this item has to be there or has to be placed there, and you don't move that item. That's submission. We submit in so many ways without even knowing it. But when it comes to marriage, some women are raising eyebrows. Why would I have to submit to him? Who does he think he is? Especially some of these women who think that they've arrived because they are now working, they're getting money, they're making money, because it's all about material things. Please, let us think twice about these things. Divorce is not so simple. You may think, oh, if it doesn't work, I'll divorce him or her. It's not that simple. There's a lot into it. People who are already divorced, some of them will tell you, especially if the cause of the divorce is not because of violence. Obviously, if the domestic violence, physical violence, mental violence and stuff like that, yes. But some of the people who divorce not because of violence, but because of other material things, some of them regret it later on. And if there are children involved, it becomes a big deal. So let us think seriously about some of these things. Let us think about making things work in our marriage. If you're happy at home, it radiates around you. You're always smiling, because if you're not happy, you'll be frowning. And when you frown all the time, it makes you look so stressed out, so worn out. You start aging more than you should. Let us just try our best, put in the effort. Submission is very easy. Love is very easy. But remember, do not marry who you love. Love who you marry. And marriages will continue to work very well. I'm going to stop this video here. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye and God bless.